It would whilst we're waiting for everyone to come on, we're giving a couple of minutes for people to join, but I think a lot are in now, so we'll take the national anthem. Can we please rise as we take the national anthem? Just the first stanza. Thank you very much. President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Malam Ahmed Ladan Gobril, FCIPM FNLI. The Vice President, Mrs. Chidima Obejesi, FCIPM. The National Treasurer, Mrs. Ogochukwu Egbuonu, FCIPM. The immediate past President, Mr. Olusegun Mojid, FCIPM FNLI. Elected council members present on this call, distinguished fellows of the Institute present on this call, the governing council members. I think I can also see the CIPM Cooperative Society president as well, Dr. Funke Medu. All members of the Institute present on this call, non-members that we're looking forward to welcoming to CIPM, HQ staff, good afternoon, and welcome to the July edition of the CIPM You series themed Employee Wellbeing, Mental Health and Resilience, Building a Sustainable Workforce. Taking place today, Wednesday, 30th July 2025. Sincere apologies for starting slightly behind time. Sincere apologies for that. I would ask that we all please rise as we take the Institute's Code of Conduct. I also, at this time, before we rise, would like to welcome our panelists as well, so they don't go off this call. Mrs. Salu Oyiza, FCIPM, Chief Talent and Culture Officer, Polaris Bank Limited. Mrs. Nkechi Juwa, FCIPM, Head Employee Relations, Nigerian Breweries PLC. Dr. Chidi Onyedika, MBBS, FCIMC, MDCEO, NEM Health Limited. And our moderator for today, Mr. Jacob Karimu, ACIPM, Senior Director, Total Rewards Canada and US. We say a big welcome to you as well. So we have not omitted you. Thank you very much for joining us and are going to share your knowledge and insights into this very interesting theme today. May I ask that we all please rise now as we take the Institute's Code of Conduct. And when you get to R, you insert your name and your membership grade. If you're not a member of the Institute, you can rise, but you would not be able to insert your name. But we are looking out for you and we look forward to welcoming you soon to the Institute. So let's all please rise and you recite after me. It's all displayed on the screen as well. Code of Conduct. For those online, I hope you can hear me, please. Maybe I have a couple of people on mute, so I know I'm being followed. Okay, thank you very much. Our Code of Conduct. The Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria.
Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria.
As the apex regulatory body for human resource management practice in Nigeria.
As the apex
regulatory body for human resource management practice in Nigeria.
Committed to the highest possible standards.
Is committed to the highest
standards of professional conduct.
Conduct
and competency among its members.
and competency.
among its members.
Therefore, as a member of the Institute,
Therefore, as a member of
Therefore, as a member of the Institute, I, Adeyemi Ajayi FCIPM,
pledge that I shall at all times
pledge that I shall at all times
carry out my duties and responsibilities
carry out my duties and responsibilities
with integrity and diligence,
with integrity,
with integrity and diligence,
demonstrate competence and ethical behavior
demonstrate competence and ethical behavior
in all my business,
in all
in
my
all my business,
professional and personal activities,
professional and personal activities,
respect the laws of the land,
respect the laws of the land,
promote, encourage, and emplace acceptable processes
promote, encourage, and emplace acceptable processes
and procedures in the practice of human resource management
and procedures in the practice of human resource management
within my sphere of influence.
within my sphere of influence.
Endeavor to make personal decisions,
Endeavor to make personal decisions
considering all options,
after considering all options,
of which resignation may be one,
of which resignation may be one,
in defense of this code of conduct.
in the defense of this code of conduct.
Where there are conflicts
Where there are conflicts
between my professional obligations
between my professional obligations
and the expectations of my job roles.
and the expectations of my job roles.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Amen. Thank you very much. You may be seated. I'd like to invite the President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Malam Ahmed Ladan Gobril, FCIPM, FNLI, to please give or present his opening remarks. Thank you, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Registrar, and distinguished professional colleagues and others joining us. Let me also join the Registrar and CE to apologize that we're starting a bit behind schedule. It's not in our character to do so. Our sincere apologies. The Vice President, Mrs. Chidima Justina Obiejesi, FCIPM, the National Treasurer, Mrs. Ogochukwu Egbono, FCIPM, the Registrar and Chief Executive, Ms. Oluwatoyin Naiwo, FCIPM, the immediate past President, Mr. Olusegun Majid, FCIPM, FNLI, our elected council members, Adeyemi Ajayi, FCIPM, Dr. Michael Ogu, MCIPM, Osahan Omole, MCIPM, Hajia Saadatu Farouk, MCIPM, Engineer Sean Olabode Badiru, FCIPM, MCIPM, my apologies, fellows of our esteemed institute, our distinguished moderator, Dr. Jacob Karimu, Mr. Jacob Karimu, ACIPM, Senior Director of Total Rewards, Canada and the United States. Our respected panelists, let me start with Mrs. Oyiza Salu, FCIPM, the Chief Talent and Culture Officer of Polaris Bank, Mrs. Nkechi Jua, FCIPM, the Head of Employee Relations, Nigerian Breweries PLC, and Dr. Chidi Onyedika, FCIMC, the Managing Director of NAME Health Limited. The team members of CIPM present on this call, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. It is with a great pleasure and purpose that I welcome you all to this thought-provoking edition of the CIPM and You. At the heart of today's conversation is a matter that is often whispered only in boardrooms, that is often hidden behind polite smiles in open offices and sometimes masked with productivity metrics. Yet, it is a defining issue of our time, and that issue is employee well-being, mental health, and resilience. Today, we live in a world where hustling is glorified. Rest is often mistaken for laziness, and stress is often worn by every one of us like a badge of honor. But the truth is, a burned out workforce cannot build a sustainable future. According to the World Health Organization, depression and anxiety cost the global economy over $1 trillion each year lost in productivity. In Nigeria, the situation is almost the same, and recent studies have shown that more than 1 in 4 employees report symptoms of stress-related disorders, with many too afraid to actually speak out for fear of either stigma or job insecurity. Today, we are gathered here not just to have a discussion, but to disrupt that silence that is pervading our workplaces and our environment. The silence around the toll that unmanaged stress, poor work-life integration, and toxic workplace cultures take on our most valuable assets, our people. Leaders must realize this truth. You cannot pour from an empty cup. As professionals in HR and people management, we must ask ourselves these hard questions. Are our generation's safe spaces or silent pressure cookers? Are our policies just paper or people focused? Or do we have employee assistance programs, or we're only concerned about setting KPIs? The resilience we often demand from employees must not be interpreted as a license to overstress them or exhaust them. Resilience is not about surviving the fire. It is actually about ensuring people don't burn to ashes in the process. And to our business leaders, let us all remember, mental health is not a soft tissue. It is, in fact, a smart one. A resilient, mentally healthy workforce is a competitive advantage of the future. It enhances creativity as it fosters loyalty, and it indeed reduces absenteeism and drives sustainable performance. True well-being is holistic, but true well-being includes mental, emotional, financial, and psychological safety. It is about seeing employees not just as units of labor, but as humans with lives, dreams, and even limits. We mistakenly think that success is the result of the amount of time we put in at work, instead of the quality of time we actually put into our work. It is therefore time to redesign work itself to work for people. Let me take a moment to express our heartfelt appreciation to our esteemed panelists and our moderator for today's session. I'd like to thank you again on behalf of the CIPM for your time and for the insights you will share with us this afternoon, and for daring to open the conversation that many actually avoid. In closing, we must remember that businesses don't survive because they are big. They survive because their people are strong, and their strength must be nurtured. Support must be structured, and well-being must be non-negotiable. Let us therefore move from talk to transformation. Our own mission in CIPM is very clear, and that is to promote excellence in people management. Promoting excellence in people management for us includes advocating for policies, culture, and leadership that prioritizes employee wellness and mental resilience. So let me end by thanking you all once again for being here. And thank you to each and every one of you who believes, like we do in CIPM, that the future of work must be human first. Thank you for joining this edition of the CIPM and You series. And please enjoy the conversations that will ensue. Thank you. Madam Registrar, over to you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that opening remarks, which has actually set the tone for today's theme. Thank you, sir. I'd like to hand over to the moderator, Dr. Jacob Karimu, ACIPM, Senior Director, Total Rewards Canada and US, to please take over from here. Thank you, Dr. Karimu.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for the introduction, and thank you very much, Madam Registrar and Chief Executive. Let me apologize, I'm not a doctor yet. I'm trying to look up to Dr. Chidi to show me the way. He's the real doctor. I'm not there, I'm just Jacob. I'm also CIPM, so thank you very much for this platform. All right, thank you, everyone. Welcome for joining the platform today. We appreciate you finding time out of your busy schedule to be here this afternoon. So the panelists have been introduced. I wouldn't have to rehash the process of reintroducing them. The president introduced them, the registrar, chief executive introduced them. So you've also seen their names on the flyer. So they are leaders in their own right. But I would like to go right, because of time, into our discussion for today. The topic you see on your screen: employee well-being, mental health, and resilience, building a sustainable workforce. Those three pillars of HR areas, or HR processes, if you will, whichever way you want to express it, they're needed for workforce sustenance. And the way we address the topic today is that we're going to take one pillar at a time, discuss that, and then move to the other. As such, we all can follow the conversation and see the practical application of each of those in our daily lives as HR professionals where we work. And feel free to type in your questions for each of those pillars as we discuss them. There will be a bit of about a few minutes, 5 minutes, to respond to questions after each discussion of the pillars. So let's get right into it. Panelists, I think you're ready, and I'm going to address you by your first name for us to enjoy this conversation. I will address Madam Ajudu as Oyiza, Madam Jua as Nkechi, and Dr. Chidi Onyedika as just Dr. Chidi. If I remove the doctor, I'll be in serious trouble. So I will leave the doctor there. So Dr. Chidi. Okay, so let's get into right discussion now. Let's talk about employee well-being in no particular order. Dr. Chidi, I would like to direct the first question to you, right? We're talking about workforce sustenance. So what are the workplace policies and benefits that you would recommend we put in place to help maintain health and well-being in the workforce?
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this program. I really appreciate this. Yeah, diving into this topic, we're looking at well-being and the health of the staff or the employees. But let's look at what health is, and then we'll be able to know what we're putting in place to ensure the maintenance of their health and well-being. Now, WHO defined health as the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of injury and disease. And so we are looking at the health of the employees and how to maintain it. We are looking at their physical well-being, you consider their mental well-being, and then you consider their social well-being. These three put together form the holistic nature of the health of the employees that we are looking at way of maintaining this well-being of the employees and the health. Now, looking at the WHO definition and profiling what I consider as benefits for maintenance of the health and well-being of employees. First thing I will suggest three things. Number one, good medical insurance. I purposely use the term good health insurance, because what we have discovered interacting with HRs of several companies, when you're selecting medical insurance for your staff, which is the basis for maintenance of their health to start with, they look at the premium. But a good health insurance is one that gives you a curative benefit as well as preventive and wellness benefits. Sometimes we look at the curative alone, but that is not enough to maintain the health of your staff, because in the preventive benefit and the wellness benefit, you look at things like, what is the mental health package of that plan that you're buying for your staff? What is the wellness package of that plan? What is their policy on chronic disease management? Because these are things that turn around to form the state of health of the staff. You want to consider, do they have an EAP program? Because if they don't have, and you even want to institute one, that means you have to go and contract a third party to provide it for you. Meanwhile, the health insurance of providing for them ought to provide all this. Did you consider what is their policy about the under 5? What is the maternal and child care services of this particular plan that you want to get for them? So starting from the kind of health insurance you bought for them, that will help to determine, how you work concerning their well-being, concerning their health. Do they have fitness programs connected to the package that you're buying for them?
Thank you.
Because now mental health, well-being, these are topical issues now, especially after COVID, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to consider these things even while you're dealing with them.
Appreciate
The
it.
next I will have talked about, maybe for time, is employee assistance program. Because the health plan the health definition talks about physical, mental, and social well-being. Because this is the aspect where this will be managed, even maybe by the psychologists that they're going to consult, or when they have issues with personal issues or work-related issues. These are when it comes in. So generally speaking, like I said, consider the health, consider their well-being, consider the preventive package, consider the mental health package, consider their wellness package. This put together will be able to give you a good start, even as you're thinking of maintaining the health and wellness of your staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Chidi, for that. That's very helpful to know that every organization and so forth, those of us listening as HR managers want to think through asking ourselves, do we have a health insurance benefit in place for our employees? Now, that takes us to, I'd like to ask the next question to Nkechi. So we have all these healthcare plans and other policies in place. So 2 questions for you. How do we rate the overall well-being? How do we know employees are using these and is helping them to get better? And the second one is, how do we encourage, as HR practitioners, work-life balance in the workplace? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Jacob, and thanks to Dr. Chidi for hitting the nail on the head. Well-being no longer refers to the absence of disease or illness. One of the things that HR can do
We lost you there, Nkechi. Nkechi, we lost you. The audio is gone. All right. I guess I'm going to presume Nkechi is having network issues. That's why we lost for audio. To keep it going, we'll come back to Nkechi. Oyiza, can you hear me clearly?
Loud and clear.
Excellent. So let's get right to you. Maybe we'll get back Nkechi when she's back online. Nkechi, are you back? Okay, we lost her. I guess she will reconnect. So let's just move ahead and then we'll come back to her to respond to the question. So how can we develop the culture of employee encouraging team members to take breaks and time off? How can that be introduced? And how can we get managers, so two questions for you too, to support the team members' well-being? Because something that managers are not used to in our culture. How can we introduce those two things?
Thank you very much, Jacob. Just to sort of put this in context a bit so that we know that there's also some research that has been done in terms of just assessing the well-being of the workforce in Nigeria. So in a recent Well-being at Workplace 2025 survey for Nigeria, it was discovered that 1 in 5 of the respondents are suffering from high burnout, right? So while this may not look like a big number, but let's just know that over 50% of the workforce is actually at risk of moderate to high stress overload and disengagement. So clearly, with this insight, we see that, it's no longer an HR issue. It's really a business imperative in terms of the kinds of cultures that we build within our organizations that promote well-being and wellness. So just taking a look in that perspective, it has implications on leadership development. It has implications on workload management and well-being, investments that organizations do. So just coming straight to your question, right, it's important for us to look at this from multiple perspectives. It takes shifting mindsets, right? Because in a culture where, like Mr. President said, we have a hustle culture, right? So where everybody thinks, oh, you have to really hustle, work, stress out yourself before you get things done. So it's important that mindsets are shifted. We begin to think about, the well-being in a more strategic way where it affects our businesses, it affects sustainability of our businesses. And it's also important that we have supportive policies, right, to promote taking breaks. So there are a couple of things, leading by example. So for managers and leaders, it's important that you yourselves or we ourselves take those breaks, right? Those much needed breaks. And, we encourage our team members to do the same. It's also about, what types of boundaries do we set? So setting healthy boundaries. For instance, right, if something is not like mission critical, if it's not going to, crash the business, why send mails after hours or on weekends? Because when you do those things, people get stressed out, right? And they feel that's the only way you can get recognized and get, rewarded within the organization. So it's really important that managers and leaders lead by example and let people know if you're on break, you're not a superhuman, right? So even when simple things like setting out of office responses should indicate that I'm currently on time off, I'm on vacation, I won't be reachable at this time. Because once you begin to role model those behaviors, those healthy, behaviors that promote rest and rejuvenation, etc., then your team takes a cue. And then before you know, it's something within the organization that people understand that there's a need to encourage those breaks so that we don't have people who are stressed out and burnt out, and ultimately it affects organizational productivity. So how do we support managers, in terms of all of these? It's a lot of education, right? Because there's a need to create the awareness. So it's the education. How do we coach our line managers? For instance, we have something called MEAL. So it's Managerial Excellence Action Learning, where we send out tips, snippets to managers on different things around how to effectively manage your team. And it also includes, the well-being aspects of managing a team, so that you have a team that is not dysfunctional and you have a team that, high morale, people are engaged, etc. So I'll just stop here at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oyiza. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes, I hope all of us, as we hear this, it helps us to really change the mindset from, again, I'll borrow the same word the presidents use, hustle, just work, work, work. People have to take breaks. And I like all the points you made, Oyiza, mindset. shifting the mindset, having supportive policies, managers, even HR leaders, HR managers on this call. Do we all take leaves? Do we all take vacation? It starts with us. We need to walk the talk. And then to set out of office, yes, I'm out, I'm not in and out. And don't respond to emails while you are off work. So excellent points that we all can apply to maintain sustainable workforce. So I'll come back to you, Nkechi. Are you back on?
Apologies. Yes, indeed. I had to change my internet source.
I understand, but it happens. Network up and down. So do you still remember the questions, or do you want me to?
The first one was how HR rates well-being. And I mentioned that well-being is no longer physical, and HR rates well-being already, but you don't know it. The question is, what are you doing with the information and the data? First of all, many of us run employee surveys, engagement surveys. What are employees speaking about in those surveys with regards to stress and well-being? Another thing has to do with the manager, team managers. How well are your managers equipped to manage the well-being of their teams? There's a question that we deploy that we have, shared with our managers at every team meeting. It's not just about work. And the question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling to each team members? Knowing that each manager has about 7, 8 direct reports. And you'll be surprised to see week to week what the employees are saying and to probe around those who are feeling, who are below 7. And also to ask why, what's happening? Why are you below 7? But that's just a simple tool. These days, AI helps with pulse surveys that are very short surveys that you can, target them to employees to find out what's really happening in your life. And based on the feedback, you can actually work on insights. So absenteeism and turnover metrics is another source of data we can use to track well-being. When you see teams where people are always absent, there is a problem. And oftentimes, managers have a big role to play in well-being. One of the things that often happens is sometimes you hear of a manager who is toxic. I'm sure you can relate to that. What is the culture speaking about toxic managers, and how is HR putting in place practices to not tolerate it? Is there a grievance procedure? Because we always still think well-being is physical, but the things HR can do are these things I'm mentioning within our control. And we should realize that we have come to the era where it is not enough to have hospital or health insurance. But as Dr. Chidi has mentioned, how many of us have EAP programs? In Nigerian breweries, we have had to realize we've had to invest more, in the health budget for our workforce and the well-being budget by having a dedicated 24/7 EAP assistance program, not just for employees, but for their families. So also for the children and the spouses in Nigerian breweries. Another thing to consider is weekend work and overtime. So if you work in companies that are 24-hour operations like ours, you have to be sure that you're not burning out by demanding too much. Workers will always want overtime in the factory. Yeah, we want more money. But you have to be able to put a stop to it, because there is no one that can sustainably be working 6 hours, even 6 days a week or 7 days a week. It's not sustainable. And so to the second question, what can HR do to encourage a healthy work-life balance in the workforce? This is really HR's baby. One is flexibility. I know some people have said, no, we cannot allow workers work from home. Everyone has to be here 24 hours, but every day. But the truth of the matter is flexible work hours, it's been proven that working in the office does not mean, there's research, there's data around that, does not mean you are more productive. Let's go and check it. Work needs to change to outcome-based deliverables than ticking the box by sitting in the office. And no one knows if you are doing eye service. The second thing is, you've all spoken about the use of leave. So I don't want to talk about that. But what happens to employees during leave? Are your employees working during leave? Or have you put in place practices to ensure that there's someone covering up, and that when you get an email, there's a responder giving a delegation of authority to say, I'm on leave, but this person is going to be standing in for me, so that people are really resting. And then the second thing is clear job roles. This one will shock you, but based on my experience, employees also go through stress and anxiety because their managers have not clarified what they are delivering for the year, the right resources are not in place, the right training is not in place, and they are just so stressed. That is also one area that HR can use to encourage healthy work-life balance. And so we need to be able to measure, again, through pulse surveys, which are spot-on short surveys. We need to be able to emphasize productivity and quality, not just cultural presenteeism, time spent sitting in the office and I'm waiting for my boss to go so that, it's seen that I'm a high performer. But also, we also need to look at the ecosystem that employees operate in. What is happening in the family? Some employees have gone through domestic violence from their spouses. Are we able to offer support to those kind of employees? What do we do for employees who are just moving into managerial roles or new jobs or new companies? How is the onboarding, or new departments? How is the onboarding? Recently, we've had to invest in childcare like creches on site, not a few years ago, because we realized that childcare is becoming a challenge in Nigeria. We all read what happens around house helps and what women and parents go through. These are the things that we can do to ensure that HR is supporting healthy work-life balance. But more importantly, we have to co-create these things with the employees. I think that it would be a great mistake to sit down after this webinar and say, I learned this from Oyiza, I learned this from Jacob and Nkechi and Mr. President, without sitting down to have a well-being council to co-create and design what really matters in your reality. For example, some of us who work in FMCG, we have salespeople in the field who never walk into the office. Their office is in the field. Their office is in the market. Their office is with key distributors. Are you customizing your well-being programs to meet their reality? Because all these things that are office-bound don't work for them. Yeah. Maybe they are going to be in Okiari market or Wuse market for half their day, and you are telling them, guys, you need to sit down and breathe in and meditate. And they're like, look, I can't meditate because I have to my target. So you know that you are customizing your programs to meet employee segments. That's another thing that HR can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nkechi. Very much appreciated. Loaded points you gave us there on what we could do to rate, how we could rate using surveys. And most importantly, what do we do with that data? Because when data is more effective, when it is translated into business decisions, not just the numbers that we see. And what HR could do as well, the one I picked for the most 2 points there, the flexible work hours is something that needs to be changed. It's something that's common. In fact, it's a given in the world where I work now in North America. It's a given. If you're offering a job and no flexibility, no hybrid, nobody wants to take that job. So I guess the rest of the world needs to catch up to that as well. And then DOA, delegation of authority, when someone is away. In this part of the world where I live in, once people go on vacation, they don't even check there. They don't care. They just go enjoy the vacation. But in Nigeria, we are still afraid maybe my boss will do something. So I still check my emails. So that HR on this call, HR managers, leaders, we need to make sure we apply that. So thank you very much for your points on what we can do to sustain workforce with employee well-being, Dr. Chidi, Nkechi, and Oyiza. Now, I want to look at the Q&A section and ask a few questions. Because of time, we won't be able to take all. Panelists, I just want to encourage if we can use maybe a few 30 seconds or 45 to respond to each question so we can take as much as possible. The first question is to you, Dr. Chidi. I'm going to read exactly what the person wrote on the screen. Wellness and employee well-being are not one size fits all. How has NEM, the organization that you lead, ensured that its policies are flexible, agile, and responsive to the diverse and evolving needs of its employees? To you, Dr. Chidi.
Okay, so there are a couple of things that we have done in NEM in terms of employee well-being and wellness of the employees. Now, let me talk about name health now before I go to the group. In our call center, right, they are required to work, ideally, they are required to work 24/7 because folks go to the hospital, somebody has to approve and all those. But when we started, we said, no, we can't keep them working in the office 24/7. And so we began the flexible work experiment with them, where folks work in the morning, the ones taking over who are supposed to be in the office, and we calculated by the time you leave your house, this is Lagos, and get to the office, you must have missed out some hours. And so we began from the beginning to have people work hybrid from home. And so currently now, they work hybrid from home. Some work in the office. The next day you switch job. And you know the beautiful thing that we have had excellent report from our enrollees, excellent report from clients about the function and the kind of services given by the call center, who sometimes I don't even see, but call them at any point in time, and they are there. Like I think either Nkechi mentioned it or Ethan mentioned it, that people think working in the office is like maybe the best place you can get all things. No, we're able to achieve excellent services, with the mode of operations, all through the time that we have had those folks there. And then we constantly have preventive health sessions, teaching the people what they ought to know, what they ought to do per time. In fact, for our HR, is something we have to do every month, right? Every month, there is one form of wellness program that we have to come up with to educate the staff on steps to take regularly regarding certain conditions that may come up. And we have this wellness, this Saturday fitness session that we run, virtually like every quarter. And everybody is there for the chairman, all the MDs that we have in them, and we are there. And we do this every quarter, just to keep fit and then keep the people moving.
Thank you. Permit me to step in so we can accommodate more questions. Thank you very much, Dr. Chidi. Excellent practical things that you have put in place at NAME. This question, I don't know who would like to take this, maybe Nkechi or Oyiza, any of you could jump in. It's a general question that what happens when an employee is consistently ill and absent up to 2 to 3 times each month? What do you do? Our colleagues need practical advice. 30 seconds, please. Who wants to go for it?
I think I can quickly answer, and then Nkechi, if you'd like to add. I think in my own situation, what we tend to do when we see those people who have those recurrent, we will then need to refer you, right, to an organizational approved center for proper medical evaluation to see if there's really an issue versus if it's truancy on the part of the employee. So we first sort of take it from that angle before we believe that, it's something else. Thank you.
Thank you, Yisa. I just want to add that, most of our organizations we're in business to make money. So while that is the way to go, you also need to make sure that your policies are very clear. What's your policy on absenteeism? Because we have a policy on absenteeism, and you are using an authorized clinic, but sometimes indeed there could be the issue of an employee playing truant. So you have to make sure that you are very clear around how such things are dealt with.
Thank you very much, both of you. I have another question. I'll direct it to both of you again. Or maybe this one, let this one go to Dr. Chidi, being MD of an organization. And sorry, I'll be timing you 45 seconds as well. Sorry for that, trying to keep us within time. So what happens when an MD doesn't believe that there are no burnouts, as it has no regards for time boundaries? So you are the MD, tell us, what does HR do in that kind of situation?
But that's a catastrophe. That's a catastrophe. I had an MD who mentioned which organization I was. Once it is 5 p.m., he calls for meeting. Once it is 5 p.m., we will be in the office doing all manner of stuff. 5 p.m., he calls for meeting. And when I came to Lagos, right, I heard this is what happens. And being a doctor, I'm concerned about people's welfare. I had a dialogue and I said, for me, I can't be in a meeting from 5. What is it that the staff is supposed to do from 8 in the morning till 5 p.m. that they couldn't discuss, we couldn't do? Now we are going to be in the office from 5 p.m. till when your wife starts looking for you. So that kind of system is absolutely a disaster for the staff. But for me personally, even before I got to this level, I have always told the staff that work with me, your contract with us is 8 in the morning to 5 p.m. Once it is 5, pack your bag and go home. Why? I need you to go and rejuvenate, to come back in the morning to do job for me. And I casually tell them when I see some folks in the office by 6, I say, listen, we don't pay overtime in this organization. So no matter what you're doing, I am not impressed. I am going home. And I did by 5 to let them know that we need to go and rest. Because if the body does not rest, you come back to work the next day, you will be unproductive. There's no way you want to put it. So this is my belief, and this is what I have preached over the years. And so becoming an MD now, so you can imagine that my folks are in heaven. Once it's 5, you go home. I don't run any meeting once it is 4 p.m. Now, what are you going to discuss? You're going to stretch over to the day. So let's leave it and come in the morning and we continue. And the issue of sending mails requiring response when somebody is at home, it doesn't make sense at all. And that does not mean that you're performing more than the rest of the people who are doing the job the way it's supposed to be. You have a contract, 5 p.m., I go home. But in Nigeria, you are afraid of what your boss will do. You are afraid of what they will tell you. You are afraid of one thing. Why should you answer a mail on Saturday? Why? It doesn't make sense to me. Except for us who are in the medical field, we have to save life. That one we understand. That when the calls come, we have to take those calls. But if it is actually sales production for Friday, that will not work. So that is my own point, and that is what I believe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your practical experience on how you lead, and that's good leadership. Now, Madam Nkechi, Nkechi, I see your hand up. So please tell us what an HR. Give us practical what HR would do. Because Dr. Chidi has spoken as MD. Now, HR, what am I going to do? Because my job is at risk. What do I do?
Some MDs are workhorses, let's be real. However, I want to share what has worked for us, which is take a data-driven approach. Are we really seeking feedback from employees? This feedback is anonymous. There's so many survey tools. Even if you don't want to buy the survey, you can design one anonymously and have a presentation to the CEO and the chiefs of the CEO, the direct reports in the CEO, as whether you are the head of HR or you're the one in charge of wellness, and say, this is what employees are saying. It's not looking good. We want to be able to put in some changes, and we want to be able to come back in 6 months to 1 year's time with the same survey and look at the shifts that have occurred. This is why we're talking about analytics and HR taking a data-driven approach. It is because we use data to drive change, and we use data as evidence on what is happening. while we know that the CEO is driving performance, we also want to show that link between the data and the performance of the business. You know, this is why I talk about strategic HR. So that's just what I want to talk. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that practical idea. So we've seen in both sides, HR leaders on this call. Now we have an idea on how to deal with that. Sorry, we cannot take all the questions because of time. So let's move to the second pillar right now, which is mental health. And we've done justice to well-being. I hope all of us have learned a few things that we could apply as HR leaders as we go back to our jobs and we engage leaders in our organizations. Now, mental health. I'll start with you again, Dr. Chidi. Could you share with us some of the mental health resources briefly or support services that NEM could make accessible to or organization as a whole that we could make accessible to employees, not just NEM as an organization? What can we do?
Yeah, so yeah, I'll talk generally, right? Now, I will speak from the point of view of a medical practitioner who is interested in prevention. I can talk about the results of having a mental health, access to mental health facilities, or talk about EAP, right? And I think it was Nkechi that mentioned maybe they have a kind of robust arrangement where they have an EAP, probably outsourced to a third party, I guess, right? You know, that's for a big organization like that, right? They're able to do that. But what I want to drive here is this. If you have a medical insurance cover for your staff, that medical insurance company should be able to give you access to mental health for your staff, and also be able to give you EAP services for your staff. Except you now want something, you know, bigger than that, you can do what Chidem are doing. But beyond, because why I'm keep emphasizing this is, as any of a health insurance company, I know the services you ought to have. But most organizations don't make use of these services. And then they have staff who have need for them. For instance, in NEM Health, right? You have access, we have two mental health providers, and they are all accessible on our app. You don't need to travel to go anywhere, because the stigma of mental health issues is still prevalent in the country, right? So we have to do something that gives you that privacy. From the comfort of your home, you can have a consult with the mental health physician. Whatever medication that they need you to have, it will be supplied to you right there in your house, so long as you give us your address and how to reach out to you. EAP services are available, which I don't know in this part of the world, most people don't even realize the essence or the importance of EAP services. But they are all supposed to be contained in the HMO package you bought. That's why I started by saying you must go for a good medical insurance service that gives you curative service, preventive, and wellness service. Package must be complete. I'm not just asking them, how much did you cover for surgery? They tell you 1 million. Say, can we make it 2-point-something million? And they say, yes. How many of your staff are going to have surgery? How many will have surgery in a year? But mental issues, stress at work, those ones are always there. Chronic diseases are always with them. So this is where the services will tend towards than looking at the other side. Now, that is, you know, for that. But what I want to speak with to Karimu, please, before my time is up, is when it comes to mental health, a good preventive scheme in organizations. And what I'm looking at is this. We need to include mental health training for our managers, our line managers, for our unit heads, because they are the first that can help us dictate change in behavior of the staff who are under them. Yeah. Many times, line managers don't care about the welfare of the people that are with them. You don't know why this lady is moody this morning. You don't know why this other one is withdrawing. I'll give you an instance. When I used to work in Port Harcourt, right, we lost a client. A young man has 2 children with a wife, came to work, went straight to Federal Secretariat, 10-story building. He climbed to the 10th floor, stood on top of the banister, and dived head down. I'm talking about 11 a.m. in the morning, not night. And he died. What happened? He was having challenges all this while. It can be any form of challenge, right? And colleagues noticed that he get as if they do before this thing happened. That was the time to leave this thing on the board. If they knew that these are the symptoms of mental illness.
Sad.
You know, if they are educated, they will be able to find out from them the way they are talking, the way, you know, when they start withdrawing, when they have certain symptoms. One of my staff, you know, where I worked before, I got a call on a Sunday, and they said, sir, can you check the WhatsApp status of this particular doctor? He's a medical doctor. And when I checked his status, what he wrote there, it was clear to me where he was heading to. And so I had to call him. Now, the person who called me is also a doctor. She noticed this thing and called me that I have been monitoring his posts. And I don't like the way it sounded. I read it, I had to call him. He initially was in denial, but much later we got talking. I had to talk to him in a way he could understand because somebody flagged it. Somebody raised the issue. So the issue of mental health is preventive if the managers that work with them are able to understand this and this and this could happen. And then they spot it, flag it to HR. HR knows exactly what to do to take it from there.
Thank you.
And so we're able to prevent such things before it starts. So incorporating this in their training will go a long way to preventing it before we start talking about curative medicine or where are the mental health facilities to go to. Before we get there, we will have instituted some form of therapy, you know, to prevent such things from occurring.
Thank you for those thoughts and those experiences that you shared. It's very sad we lost your life. One last love is one is too many. One lost life is too many, so to speak. So, and thank you for sharing that. Companies want to make mental health accessible to all team members. And I like the point you talked about on training, but we'll come back to that. I'd like Nkechi to dwell on that. But before I come to Nkechi, I want to talk to Oyiza a little bit about this one. As you know, all of us know that mental health is stigmatized in Nigeria. Once someone talks about mental health, the first thing is mental. You don't have the wrong case. That's what they think. But it goes beyond that. So then what can HR do, Oyiza, to make team members in an organization feel comfortable to discuss mental health concerns with either HR or their managers? Any thoughts?
Thank you very much, Jacob. First and foremost, I think Dr. Chidi has really passionately dwelt on this, you know, in an in-depth manner. So even in responding, I'll keep this very brief, you know. I think the key thing first is around the training, right? And the awareness, because like you rightfully said, and even Dr. Chidi mentioned, there's still a lot of stigma around it. So people need to clearly sort of start with, you know, what are the signs? You know, is somebody feeling a bit moody? So what we are doing, right, because this is a clear and present reality of the workplace here in Nigeria, is we're launching a Know Your Colleague initiative, right, where we would be requesting for feedback from, you know, make it a bit fun, you know, so that it's not as if we're saying anybody is mental, but, you know, just trying to, the way you do your know your customer, you know, a bit more information, details around the customers were now focusing on ourselves and our colleagues, and how well do we know ourselves? What's this person's mood generally? Are they going through any challenges? And it will force the conversations where people then have to engage, right? Because having a comfort to come to you and discuss, oh, I'm feeling a bit off, I'm feeling unwell, or I'm stressed, or I'm going through certain challenges, can only be done if there's some level of comfort in engaging with you, some level of familiarity. So we're trying to drive a bit more connectedness, the familiarity, so that people feel comfortable speaking about themselves beyond the work. So that's how we want to view it, because we're all complete individuals that have different aspects to our life. So we're trying to create a psychologically safe environment where people feel comfortable speaking about themselves and their realities and the things they are going through. And of course, the HMOs that we use have the EAP. So we do a lot of awareness, a lot of communication around that. Even the HMOs do them directly. We have something called a Wellness Wednesday, where we bring in experts to focus on different topics, and mental health, mental well-being, different things have been a focus over the last couple of months for us. So these are some of the things we're doing in our own way to support the workforce.
Thank you. Thank you. These are excellent ideas, practical things to do. And I agree with you. HR needs to create that safe space, that relationship. Someone will only warm up to you if they see you as a friend. So HR should, for all of us HR colleagues on this call, in the days when I was younger, people used to be afraid of HR. I don't think that should have changed. We should be able to come to HR now, right? And they should see HR as safe space. So the question is, are you making yourself an approachable HR person? Are you making your HR team approachable? And I also like the point you made on awareness. Create awareness, information, over communicate mental health, so people will feel comfortable to talk about it, and train the managers too. So now coming to the point of training managers, Nkechi, I'll come back to you. But I think two questions I want to direct to you. The first one is, now how can an organization measure? I know you talked about data a lot. What else can we use to measure and translate how if an organization is under stress, or a workforce, or the stress level of a workforce? How do we measure that? And the second is, what is involved in the training? Dr. Chidi talked about training managers. What is involved in that training to make it effective?
Thank you. To your first point, if we have profit and loss account, we have things where we measure the health of the organization from the financial perspective. There is something called the Well-Being Index. The Well-Being Index is a series of questions customized for your organization based on your reality, that looks at well-being, that looks at stress, that looks at work-life balance, and that looks at psychological safety. This Well-Being Index is measured every year. And what that does is giving you trends to show. For example, 2 years ago, our well-being index wasn't too good because the Forex devaluation was, at its peak. The company, like many other FMCG companies, was also, in a way, struggling, with regards to the high foreign exchange. And also, we had to take proactive steps to address it. One of the elements that I don't think any of us have mentioned in the well-being ecosystem is financial well-being. And if there's anywhere where we need it, is Nigeria, because there is inflation. You need to also support employees on the judicious use of their resources. Many oftentimes you hear, you've increased our salary, we are used to it, we want more. Are you helping them learn how to use their resources? Okay, so that's a way to measure. The second one has to do with training of managers. Now, I'm taking a different twist to it. It's not just training managers. It is making sure that you have information. You can deploy health assessments to employees with a score. And based on that score, you target people. Not everyone is struggling, but some people are struggling. But you want to know if the stressors are within HR's control. Some of the things I mentioned, like unclear work deliverables, lack of sufficient resources or training, toxic teams or managers, these are within the control of the organization and us HR professionals. So not everybody would talk about it. We do train managers, okay, but we have some managers who are mental health champions and some are not. So what we did was we discovered from our data that the Gen Z were the biggest users of the employee assistance program, and not people in my generation, for example. You know, the people in the older generations would hardly tell you they have mental health, even when they do. But the younger generation are more open, and thanks to them, a couple of them came up and we shot stories of how they were assisted. They were open about it. And we shot videos and we shared these videos in the organization. Okay, so it's not just training managers, it's in the embedding into the ways of working. And this is why I mentioned some of the other things that we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nkechi. I appreciate all the points on the well-being index and the healthcare assessment so we can target that training. If I may suggest, I mean, well-being index, I know what it is. It applies to big organization and maybe small, maybe not. Maybe a kind of a training needs to be organized on that so that we can really know how to go about that. Because one thing is to know it, another thing is to know how to do it and how to apply it. So maybe a suggestion for CIPM to organize a training for us on that, and we can also learn, and that helps us to apply this skill to our workforce to make sure it's sustainable and they're performing. Now, we've come to the question and answer section for the entire members listening on this call, about 465 of us. Thank you very much for listening. And in the interest of time, I think we'll take just one, maximum 2 questions. And panelists, I will request to indulge me into please just maybe keep the question very brief so we can have time for the next, the last pillar. So the first question here I see is from Tekimbi Tampa. She says, no, sorry, Anonymous. I'll come back to that one. It says, and I'll summarize the question so we can go right into it. Any of you can respond. Maybe Madam, maybe your user can respond to that. That HR, we're responsible for employee lifecycle. We are partnering with a business. How should HR strike the balance to make sure we are also being mentally, emotionally, and physically balanced, not stressed?
That's a really good question, right? It's a really good question. I think first we need to sort of promote self-care as HR practitioners for ourselves, right? Because a lot of times we find out that a lot of the burden, people come to unburden. Like somebody came one day and said he wanted to engage me. I said, I'm not a therapist, dude, because even I do need a therapist. So, you come, you're unburden for me. So who do I go and unburden to? So I think we need to pay attention to our own well-being, right? And, some of the things I was saying earlier about, do you really need to send that weekend email? And those are things I practice, right? When I'm going on leave, my team knows I'm on leave, right? Except there's something really, really critical. And that's because I have, solid people who I hand over to and I move on because I'm a human being. So I think it's HR people recognizing that you're human as well. So you need to be able to care for yourself, take self-care, right, before you can even role model that across your organization. So you sort of lead from the front by doing all of these things that you're requiring others to do. Thank you.
Thank you. We walk the talk. We live by example. Thank you for that. This question, Nkechi, goes to you. Just last question on mental health. Sorry, folks, because of time, trying to make sure we don't go too much over time. So the question is, how can SMEs find cost-effective ways to support employee mental health and well-being, especially when formal HR does not yet exist?
Okay. I think it's called NEM Insurance. I was quite impressed that they offer EAP program as part of their offering on the insurance that they run. So as an SME, it doesn't excuse you from not having a well-being strategy. Just start, define the parameters. We already gave you all of them: physical well-being, emotional well-being, professional well-being, financial well-being, social well-being. How is work going on there? I'm sorry to say, but if we have organizations where managers are still screaming at people, we have a long way to go. There's a lot of work. Start from there. Start to influence the CEO. If your CEO is the type that doesn't want to listen, then your work as HR is to go and think around how to make him or her listen, that delivering on the goals of the business needs people. People are the most important factor when it comes to things like this. So that's what I would advise. And then seek out other SMEs like you and find out what they're doing. But trust me, it's not an SME thing. We may be big, but there are companies, even bigger than us that are not doing enough for their employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Nkechi. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing justice to the second pillar, which is mental health. You all gave excellent points and practical ideas that as individuals, as members of the proud organization CIPM, we all can take something back to our place of work in our daily lives and apply them. So let's move to the third one quickly, staying within time. Resilience. Now, I'll start with you as usual, Dr. Chidi, right? We want people to work, we want people to give their best, but we don't want them to overwork. While we know there are challenges, we still need people to not give up. So what tools can HR provide to support and manage workplace stress?
Okay, thank you. Talking about workplace stress, what are the things that can cause stress at the workplace? You have things like, I think it was Nkechi that mentioned it, economic hardship is part of the thing that can stress folks. Some commuting to work is even an issue, right? And you talk about work overload, you talk about toxic leadership. They were talking about toxic leadership. I told my team, my management team, my unit heads, and I told them that I am not toxic to you. If I ever hear that you were toxic to your subordinates, because the truth is, you can't function in a toxic environment. It is not possible. The person is coming to work, because I have suffered such a thing growing up. I had a boss I report to in the hospital, and he was so toxic. I was still a young doctor then. Each time I'm coming to work, my heart starts racing. My BP goes up. As I'm approaching the hospital, I'm panting, I'm having tension, headache, entering the office. And I told myself, I can't put someone through this. So I tell them, and they know it. And when they come, I tell them that Net Health is the best place to work in the entire world, because anyone there. Now, but economic hardship, transport issues, how do we solve that? Like what happened in there? We have buses that take staff to the closest bus stop, helping them to navigate those kind of stress. And with the change in the economy and everything, we came with the inflation adjusted compensation, what you call a transport subsidy for them. At least try to handle that aspect of their life, and then introduce the flexible work arrangement, where I think it's twice a day, right? You work remotely, and then the other ones you're like in the office. And all this is at height run, helping to mitigate those kind of stress that come from such issues, right? Work-life balance, imbalance is another issue of stress that comes in the workplace. And now try to find a way to help them to balance their life. Some people don't know how to manage their time. Some people don't know how to prioritize. So introducing things like stress management, their own stress, they will live better. If they know what and what to do, you know your limits. you're able to know what are the triggers of stress for you, they will be able to manage things, better. So suggesting regular stress management workshop for them to understand, get educated on, diverse things, that they are passing through will help a lot, for them to manage. The stress will always be there. We are talking about distress now. When we say stress, stress is a good thing medically because it helps you to take action when things are bad or things wrong suddenly. We are looking at distress when the stress becomes, more than required for you to exist as a human being. So some of the measures being put in place, will be able to help the staff to cope, and then when they are educated, get to understand what are the things I can do to manage these things. And there's some personal things I can handle by myself, right? You get home, keep the phone aside, and go to bed.
Thank you.
But some people rest by watching movies and all those things, so all these things will help them to know how to manage their own stress level. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chidi. I agree with you. We need stress, we take action. The overmuch is what we don't want. And thank you for sharing, being able, leadership, making sure that they lead by example. I think we can't stress that enough by not being toxic, not making people feel stressed at their job, and educating people about stress as well, knowing the triggers and what they need to do and what they should not do. Thank you very much for sharing that, Dr. Chidi. So I'll come to you, Oyiza, right? With that said, now change is one of the things that we all go through. Change at work, change in environment, change in Nigeria, change everything. Everything could change in our lives, most especially in the organization. Organization may say right now, I want to cut costs. That's a huge change, they reorganize. So how can HR help individual team members or the organization as a whole adapt to change? Because that itself could lead to stress, mental stress, physical stress, whichever way you look at it. So how can HR help?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think generally people view change as a source of anxiety, right? Because it's sort of the unknown, what's going to happen. So I think for us as HR, just in terms of our role, is how do we transform change from being a source of anxiety to being an opportunity for growth within the organization, building resilience, and also improving organizational performance. So I'll look at it from two sides. Change has the practical side of things. What needs to be done? Are we changing systems? Are we changing culture? Are we changing our business operating model, etc.? But I believe the most critical element is the human element of change, right? Where you're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with people's concerns, of how this change will affect them. And then, of course, potentially you're dealing with resistance, right? Because not everybody will just willingly embrace the change. So in terms of what HR can do, looking from an individual team perspective, an individual's perspective, is to ensure that one, communication is clear and is consistent, right? Around what the change is about, what does it entail? How would it affect people? How would it affect the organization? What the benefits are. And then, of course, the communication has to be transparent. I think if there would even be potential impact, it is important that, things are not sugar-coated, right? So people sort of are not taken unawares. And so again, in terms of even just the communication, we'd have to look at what type of workforce do we have? What are the various communication channels we can use? Is it town halls? Is it emails, intranet, etc.? And then, of course, it's important that it's also two-way. We need to give room for feedback. We need to give room for people to sort of ask questions and then provide responses to those questions. And of course, ongoing coaching and support is key within that context. Looking at an organization and in terms of how we can support that, I think the key thing first is that change, is it in alignment with the strategic objectives, right? And focus of the organization. And sometimes we tend to see that change agendas fail because we haven't properly assessed the organizational readiness for the change, right? So sometimes organizations, somebody's doing something a certain way, let's take on board this new technology. We've not even checked in terms of our readiness. Do we have the supporting infrastructure? And all of that. And then, of course, it's very important that there's also early leadership engagement and buy-in. right? So again, it's the leading from the front, right? It's understanding the change, owning it, and being able to engage, you know, down the line in terms of our other colleagues and teammates around the change. And I think the final thing I would then say is around ensuring we have a structured implementation plan around the change, right? What are the different things that we need to do? What are the timelines? What's the responsibility? And what would success look like, right? So it's not a haphazard thing. And then, of course, be checking, evaluating, and monitoring, you know, provide room for that constant feedback, evaluation, monitoring, you know, how is it working out? What other things do we need to do? Are we also ensuring the workforce is trained? For instance, if it's a new technology we're deploying that would help us in terms of our business, are we training people to ensure they know how to use this tool, etc.? So there's a lot that we can do so that people then sort of embrace change, you know, in a way that they then see that, you know, this is also going to be beneficial for me in the context of being in the organization.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing all of that. Some of the points I got was communicating clearly, you know, being transparent, giving room for feedback, being change ready, and, you know, putting structure around it, coaching. Thank you very much. All of these things help us manage change, reduce anxiety, and help the team deliver on outcome. So last question to you, Nkechi, and then we'll round up the discussion is, now we've talked about different areas, what tools we could put in place, talked about how to manage change. So now let's talk HR. Are there practical steps HR folks can provide or take to help employees cope when faced with challenges at work? It could be challenges that come from the work itself, can be external based. It all impacts the work. So what can HR do to help individuals in the team cope with that?
Yes, as part of support, HR, we have to realize we don't just hire employees, we have to support them and support their success as well. One of the practical steps is something called resilience training. Employees need techniques. The psychologists and the psychiatrists, they have tools and techniques that, you know, employees can use when coping with stress. And, you know, I mentioned earlier that the stressors they're not always obvious. They could even be from the home front. They could be from the manager. They could be from the way, you know, the work culture is operating. They could be from lack of tools. So having that resilience training. And then the second one is a very heavy focus on psychological safety. Building psychological safety, that is really building culture. And all the research and the science is very clear. The way to improve your culture is to build psychological safety. That's one of the key ways that you can know if your culture is good or not good, that people are able to bring ideas, challenge the status quo in respectful ways, say when things are not working. Managers shouldn't feel they have the final say. You don't know it all. You know, you're not the expert in everything. And the third one that I really want to mention, and in the last 2-3 years, it's the trend that has been happening with HR, is co-create with your employees. So you are bringing the tools and the science, but you are not telling them they are the recipients of these programs and initiatives. Involve them as players in the movie. Let them come on board and let you know, look, we are sales guys, saleswomen on the field. This is not working for us. You are building it for the people in you know, working in the AC environment. You know, you have to be able to co-create. Co-create means gathering the inputs of the audience that you are designing for, of your target employees. I think if there's any tip that I would like to give anyone, is co-create. And we're not saying call your 2,000 employees together. That's the whole idea of councils and committees, right? Have those employees you know are outspoken. They're always in every workplace. That manager that people speak well of, have them as a champion of this initiative. Go down. And it's not going to be perfect. You can even pilot it in a particular department. And those are the 3 things I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your thoughts. Thank you very much for doing justice and be giving us clarity on things we could apply practically in organization. Thank you for that. Resilience training, psychological safety, and engaging, working together, co-creating programs to make it effective. It is outcome-based, not just input. Thank you, Dr. Chidi. Thank you, Oyiza. Thank you, Nkechi. Excellent delivery today. We appreciate all your thoughts and insights. And thank you, every member as well. Sorry, we had to manage with time. We couldn't take all your questions. Hopefully, we'll find a way to respond to those questions you've written in writing. At this point in time, I will hand over back to Madam Registrar and Chief Executive. We appreciate your time and opportunity we have to use this platform to engage others.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our panelists and to our moderator. We're running behind time, but we have a few announcements. May I ask for or crave your indulgence for our participants? Can we take another 10 minutes more of your time, please? Just to round off, please, because we've run out of our time. Just very quickly, thank you very much to our panelists, and I'll leave the vote of thanks for the appropriate person to come in and do that, one of our council leaders. But we have a few announcements, very important announcements, and just to flick through very quickly, and what we'll do to save time as well is also share them as links, maybe in a thank you message or the videos that will be going out on this. So we have our thought leadership alert that's just dropped, navigating the effects of JACPA on Nigeria's human resource environment. So that is available. We've been sharing the link. We'll share more of that. It'll be on our website as well. So please do read that. If you have something to say, say it on our website regarding your products, your service, and your HR solutions. We have the email addresses displayed as well, marketing@cipmnigeria.org. So please advertise on our website and do call us, give us a call to do that. A reminder that we have a life insurance coverage for our financial members. So please do stay up to date, pay your membership subscription. We not necessarily saying enjoying the benefits because we don't want to lose or pray to lose anyone of our members in their prime. But it is part of the membership value proposition. But that can only be effective if you're financially up to date. We have CIPM Marketplace now open as well. So do shop for discounted products via the CIPM website. And again, only financial members get access to discounts. So visit the website and click on Marketplace to get more information and start your shopping and enjoy your shopping as well. Annual subscriptions, kindly log into our members portal to pay your subscriptions. We have email addresses listed, subscriptions at cipmnigeria.org, and we also have online the WhatsApp messages to call or send messages to. Our conference, that's the International Conference and Exhibition. Again, the 57th one is coming up in another 3 months or thereabouts, October 27th to 30th at Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Conference and Exhibition Center in Abuja. And the theme is reimagining the new world of work. So please do join us for global insights, knowledge, top-notch networking that will happen at this conference. And we're expecting over 4,000 delegates, and you are part of those that we're expecting. So please do visit the website and register and pay for your attendance. The early bird is going very, it's going to come to an end quite shortly. So please do make good use of that. And also you can do or undertake your payments through your branches as well, through the CIPM state branches. We would have certificates as well to delegates who would be in attendance as well. We are launching the CIPM HR Academy as well, and that is on Tuesday, 2nd of September 2025. We've sent out details, more details to come up and register to attend the launch. The library is open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And again, more details of this. Library is free for access to all financial members. Non-financial members or non-members would have a fee to pay. Further inquiries, again, visit our website, and there's a number to call as well. We're still accepting articles for People First magazine and our HR journals. So kindly submit your free article submissions where it will be reviewed by the appropriate committee. And once accepted, your insights will get published. There are email addresses to send your HRM journal to, the articles, and also a separate one to send for the People First magazine, hrmj@cipmnigeria.org, research for the HRM journal, research@cipmnigeria.org. Our training continues for the rest of the year. Kindly invest in your team today to get them to attend our training. So the August training schedule is also out. We've had a calendar out all year. Kindly register your team for our top tier HR development programs. Our non-members, there's a specialized induction for experienced professionals coming up. So we have dates for Kaduna, August 13. We have, we'll give you an update on the dates. We have Abuja definitely coming up on October 24. Definitely on October 24 in Abuja as well. So if you are not yet certified to practice HR in Nigeria, this is the opportunity that you're waiting for, aside from the general induction process as well that we have for membership admission. We also have our cooperative society, CIPM Multipurpose Cooperative Society. They've been live for a while now, so we're asking that if you're a member of CIPM, financially up to date, do take advantage of the benefits that are offered for being members of the CIPM Members Cooperative Multipurpose Society. We have email addresses that you can contact showing online. There is the addresses, and then you can also join the WhatsApp group as well for details. So kindly do that. It's part of our membership value proposition, and we look forward to welcoming you to CIPM Members Cooperative Multipurpose Society. We're going to run a quick demo before, but because of time, would share that via email, and that is actually to help our members learn or sort of make it easier for you to access our members portal and what you need to do to be able to either pay your membership dues, pay for the conferences or other fee paying events of the institute. So that goes straight away in terms of update into your records, and you would not have to start paying manually through the bank account that requires a reconciliation and would actually take more time to bring you up to date in terms of whatever you're paying for, whatever program you're paying for. So we encourage you, as we send those emails out to you, please do take the time to click those. If you have further requests in terms of helping you through that, we are available, and the numbers to call or who to contact would also be shared with you. Aside from that, we would also organize special sessions to take you through that. So thank you very
It's the link I couldn't find. Send me the link.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us at this time. And I would like to call on the National Treasurer to please give the vote of thanks.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good morning, MCI.
Good evening.
FCIPM.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Please, are you hearing me?
Yes, you can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay.
Yes,
Good
we
evening
can.
once again. Yes. Sincerely, it's just been a very good time this afternoon stroke evening. The learning session has been a very impactful one. And you can even see it from the chat room. There's been a lot of messages, commendation to the panelists and the moderator. And so without wasting any time, I sincerely, on behalf of the president and the chairman of the governing council of our institute, we want to say a big thank you. We want to appreciate all our panelists. In no particular order, Dr. Chidi, we want to say thank you so much. We learned a lot from you. Mrs. Salu Oyiza, FCIPM. Doctor, you are not our member, so I didn't put FCIPM for you. We are going to intimidate you just a little bit this evening. Yes, just take a little bit intimidation this evening. So Salu Oyiza, FCIPM, we want to say thank you so much for that impactful section. Madam Kechi Jua, FCIPM. See, doctor, this evening, you definitely go and get your form this evening, your registration form. Thank you so much, Nkechi Juwa, FCIPM, and our moderator that actually moderated very well. Thank you for the time too, Mr. Jacob Karimu, ACIPM.
No, MCIPM.
Oh, MCIPM.
MCIPM.
Oh, MCIPM. Okay, our aspiring fellow. Thank you so much. And to everyone that joined this particular call, to our registrar and her team that actually put this thing together for us every month. You know, they hardly fail. In fact, it's really difficult for them to fail CIPM and U section. It's been an impactful session. Thank you so much, our registrar and all your team members for putting this together. Thank you, our panelists. We sincerely appreciate the great impact you made this afternoon. I feel everywhere with a lot of notes, taking a lot of notes. Thank you so much. And we sincerely say once again that when we call you, we expect to have you there with us. Thank you. And please enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We would like to invite, thank you very much, our National Treasurer. I would like to invite the Vice President, Mrs. Chidima Obejesi, to please give the opening remarks, and then we'll take the national anthem and then we'll close. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Closing
Madam.
remarks, and then we'll take the national anthem.
Yes, thank you, Madam Registrar, and thank you, everyone. Mine is to give the closing remarks. I will just join the National Treasurer and everyone who have spoken before me to say thank you. As we come to a close, I extend our heartfelt appreciation to all of you, our distinguished speakers and moderator, and our attendees, over 450 of them, who have made this CIPM and You episode, July episodes, a very insightful and impactful experience through your conversations, your questions, and your interactions. Over the past 2 hours, we have delved into critical aspects of employee well-being, mental health, and resilience, exploring how fostering good mental health and cultivating resilience are not just a buzzword, but a necessity, but the fundamental pillars that actually help us to build a truly sustainable workforce. We have had very impactful conversations and shared practical strategies on how organizations can create environments where employees feel supported, valued, and empowered to thrive. The key takeaway for me from this session are just a few which I will highlight. That well-being is not a luxury, but a necessity. I also noted that a holistic approach is very crucial, as we cannot have all sides fit one approach. And then leadership commitment is paramount. We can do nothing if leadership is not modeling what we are trying to put in place. Also, our speakers have highlighted that resilience is something that can be built. It doesn't have to be innate, but it can be cultivated and nurtured in any organization. As HR professionals, we are at the forefront of these very crucial shifts. We have the power to influence organizational culture, implement effective policies, and champion initiatives that truly prioritize our employees' well-being. This insight gained today provides us with a roadmap to navigate these complex yet very vital areas. Let us carry this momentum from here, from this event forward. Let's commit to building workplaces where every employee feels safe to speak about their mental health, where support systems are robust and where resilience is nurtured. By doing so, we not only create a more human work environment, but also build very sustainable workforce that can withstand challenges and thrive in an ever-evolving landscape. Thank you once again, everyone, for your active participation and dedication to this vital topic. I encourage us to continue these conversations in our various organizations, and I encourage us to continue this conversation in our various organizations and to continue to be catalysts of positive change. Thank you very much, every one of you, and do enjoy the rest of your days. I'm sure that what we have learned today will not just be left here, but will be taken as tools to drive changes in our various organizations. Thank you. Madam C, over to you.
Thank you very much for those closing remarks. Thank you very much. Would like to take the national anthem as we close the last stanza. And thank you everyone for attending. And see you next month. Can we all please rise as we take the national anthem, the last stanza. Thank you very much. Do enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you to our panelists. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Bye.
the rest of your evening.
You too. Bye.